I would say supply chain is a little more harder because I feel like there's so much more in-depth research that I'm having to do in supply chain than in global business management. One other reason.
Hello guys, my name is Sagar and welcome to my channel Immigrant, where you get to know about various courses and career options from students and professionals in Canada. Today's video is about 1 year supply chain management from Conestoga College, and we have Michelle, who's currently enrolled in this program after completing 1 year of global business management, which we have covered in a separate video. Check it out later if you haven't done it. I will link it in the description. So why she chose supply chain management after global business management, how to apply for a second 1 year program, the scope of supply chain in Canada, whether you should go for 1 year, 2 year, or two separate 1 year programs. These are some of the topics that we will discuss in today's video. So without any further ado, let's begin. So Michelle, as you mentioned in part one, the reason of you taking supply chain management after completing your global business management from Conestoga College, you mentioned that it's booming, it was something that interests you. So my first question is for the part two is why did you choose Conestoga College again for your supply chain management program?
So again, like I said in the previous in part one, whatever you do a little bit of research. So I did that too because I'm paying for my program, especially supply chain, like global business management. My father paid for it, but supply chain, I'm paying for it because I was working part time and I wanted to pay for it, and you want to do it from the right place. So there's so many colleges with much better ranks and everything.
Right.
Why I chose Conestoga is when I was kind of going through other colleges, I would open supply chain on their website, and I would go through the subjects. And when I went through the subjects in other colleges were very similar to global business management, and they had more theoretical based and very, you know, what do I say? A lot of organizational behavior kind of subjects. But whereas when I looked at the same program in Conestoga, it had logistics, it had procurement, it had ERP, it had SAP and stuff like that. And so I definitely thought this was more narrowed down to what I wanted, and that's why I chose Conestoga.
And if you can walk us through the process of taking another program, because I believe that there is a lot of misconception. People think that it might be risky. What if they don't get another program? So if you can, from your experience, tell us a little bit about that as well.
Sure. So as far as I know, when I was done with the first semester of GBM is when I was thinking about applying for the next program. So you have intakes. So you know when your college is opening up for a next intake. So as far as I know, there's like a Jan intake, there's a May intake, there's a September intake, and I'm not sure if there's more, but so I wanted to do the September intake, and my course was getting over in April. So that means I could have applied for a program in May, but I did not. I kind of took an off, and I gave a good long period for my offer letter to come. I applied for September. So if someone wants to apply for me, I would ask them to start early. It's all about giving the college some time. It's not about doing anything in the last moment. I would say if you're worried about the risk of not getting a second program, there it's all about you being a little more prepared, a little more alert about when you're applying. So I would say all you have to do is just apply ahead and apply for multiple colleges. I honestly didn't apply for multiple colleges. I would say I got lucky, or maybe because I was a returning student. Conestoga, since I was already in Conestoga, when I was applying, there was an option that said returning student. That means I'm going back to Conestoga. And I guess there's some preferences. But if I were to apply for a completely new college, if I were to apply not for Conestoga and another college, I would have definitely applied to a few more colleges.
So, but have you seen something like this? You know, maybe your friends or somebody you know that they didn't get any program after completing their first program?
Um, Not really. I feel I've not been around people who've been that careless, especially international students kind of can't afford to be very careless around things like that. So that's why maybe I've not come across someone who's faced that kind of an issue, because I mean, there are some people who kind of do it last moment, but most of them were returning students, as far as I knew. But my friends who applied for other colleges, I have seen them applying way before time. Make sure that they don't miss the deadline and stuff like that. So, like I said, because it's because we are international students. If I were a local student, I would just chill. But as you are an international student, and most of us do value the time and money that's put into it, we don't want to risk it.
Do you think the 1 year supply chain management program would be enough for you to land a full-time job, considering that you don't really have a prior experience in this field?
Uh, since I've not been there, I cannot again tell your viewers what it's going to be like, because that would just be me assuming. Uh, I hope I do. I hope I do. But until then, I have a part-time job which I plan on keeping until I find my field job. And my semester is going to start just in a few days. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to put my all in and start applying for jobs.
Right.
Now, considering there's COVID and everything, I have no idea how hard it is going to be compared to what it was. And I've as far as I know, professors themselves tell me that if not a field job, you will definitely get some job, but it's going to take some time. Sometimes you have to start from scratch. So for that question, I really won't be able to tell them what they should expect, because I've myself not been down that path. But I'm hoping, and I hope to work really hard and apply and get a job in my field. But until then, I'm not going to give up on working elsewhere. If I get an opportunity, whatever the job might be, I'm going to take it, because it's all about survival. But in the meanwhile, I'm obviously going to keep looking for a job in the field that I want. That is supply chain.
That's a really positive attitude, especially not giving up and do your best. I mean, eventually you'll find it. It's not that if you tried, not sure how much time will it take. Maybe take 6 months, 3 months, or maybe 10 days. But eventually
Yeah.
you will land a full-time job. My question is, what kind of jobs would you be applying for?
I would be applying for, there is supply chain officers itself is one designation. Else I would be applying in logistic companies. These are companies that arrange transportation for other organizations. They're like, say they give packages, or to transport one's items to wherever they desire. Or I would go into, say, agencies that help out in giving you vendors, like a third party for your organization. Um, or I would work as a supply chain executive for an organization. There's a lot of um, ways to get a job, especially because I feel like we are being taught ERP and SAP, which I think can be really helpful for us, career point of view.
So Michelle, as you mentioned in the previous video in part one that you did global business management 1 year, if you can, and currently you're doing supply chain management. If you can, if I ask you to compare both global business management and supply chain management, would you think which one is harder and or which one is easier to do?
Um, I would say supply chain is a little more harder, because I feel like there's so much more in-depth research that I'm having to do in supply chain than in global business management. One other reason that it's especially harder for me, maybe because the time I've taken supply chain is during the pandemic. So global business management, I was able to go to college at least for a semester. I kind of interacted with these professors, and then the lockdown happened. So we kind of knew each other, like the professor and the students already have interacted and we know each other. Whereas on like online, professors have a tough time believing you or trusting you when it comes to assignment. So it's so much harder for you to make the assignment, because on your mind, you want to make sure that it's 100% good. Because if you make a mistake, it's so much harder for you to explain to the professor why there was a mistake. It can be really silly mistakes, like your Wi-Fi being out and you have an exam, It is so much harder to do that over explain to your professor why your Wi-Fi went out, because it's not their fault. It's honestly because some students tend to do something really stupid and it kind of affects a lot of others. And that student may not even be in your class. It's just an overall thing. It's just to maintain the the level or the standard of an exam. And so in that case, supply chain has been harder for me. Like COVID has had an impact on supply chain that way. Otherwise, also, I would say supply chain is a little bit harder than global business management because, like I said, it's very in depth into just supply chain, and I cannot write just whatever and anything that I want to in my assignments.
So assignments, you believe, it's more like get a lot of more assignments if you compare it with global business management?
Yes, and the assignments are a little more difficult as well compared to global business management. And global business management, I feel like had, like I said, group work is the hardest. I feel like there's more group work in supply chain management. Every subject is group work. So if your group is not good, that can be hard. Like I've been lucky maybe that I've had good group mates in supply chain, but I've seen those people, some people really struggle with not so great group mates. And if that ever happens to you, I'm already sorry for you, because that's how supply chain's graded, group work.
And from your personal experience, Michelle, what would you advise? A 1 year program, 2 years, or 1+1?
Uh, if if supply chain were to be a 2-year program, I might have taken it. And like maybe I think it would again, if it was a 2-year program, maybe the first year would have been very not so concentrated on just supply chain. And I'm sure the second year is going to be very into supply chain. So if it was like that, I would have just taken supply chain. But I'm really glad I took the 2-year program, like 2 years, two separate programs. Like I said, for me, it's variety. Like I get two certificates in 2 years, and I get to, maybe if I'm applying for jobs, I can definitely say I have done global business management. For that reason, I'm really happy. Uh, but say if in my luck it was a 2-year program, I would definitely not study a third year just because I want to study. I don't think I'm really that into studying. I want to study, but I want to do it right. And I really quickly want to jump into working too. So if you get a 2-year program, and if you're like me, you just want to get into, do it right and then get the job, then choose the right program the first time, don't mess it up. But if you're very into your subjects and you get a 2-year program first, you might want to take it and then continue a third year of studying. I wouldn't do it.
But I believe that a lot of people, they try to focus on 2 years program because they believe that they get 3 years of work permit, which they get. But that's one of the reasons that they choose 2 years program altogether, right?
Yes, they do. So if I were like, I've done two 1-year programs, I'm still eligible for a 3-year work permit. If I've done just 1-year program that is 2 years long, I am still eligible for a 3-year work permit. So the only risk over here is that you might have to apply for a second program. You want to do it on time, and you want to make sure that you get these second programs offer letter. But otherwise, in both cases, you're good to go. You don't have nothing to worry.
Perfect. All right, Michelle, that's all. Thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate it. I wish you all the best in your future.
Thank you. No, it was great talking to you. I love the video and I like the questions. I'm sure it's going to help a ton of people who are watching this. All those who really want to get into, say, Conestoga or just apply for any of the programs. I think your questions were great.
And would you like to mention your YouTube channel as well?
Yes, I do have a YouTube channel myself. It's called Amazingly Enough. Me and my partner, we both run the channel. Now, if you guys would like, it would be great that you guys follow and subscribe my channel. It's called Amazingly Enough.
Alright guys, that's all for today. Thank you so much for watching. Give this video a thumbs up if you find it helpful. Make sure to subscribe to Michelle's channel, Amazingly Enough. Comment below for any question or a program you would like me to cover in my upcoming videos. Do subscribe to my channel for more content like this. I wish you guys all the best. Stay safe, stay strong, and I'll see you in the next one.